Okay, so yesterday, remember I told you, or Monday, I told you that we were going to start going into the next thing, but I want to give you a little bit of time before we did that just because we came back from a break and there was a lot going on. So, looking at these equations on the first page of your notes, we are going to solve for a letter. Notice how you see no numbers. So, our answer is going to look a little crazier than it might normally look, but there's a method of why I want to do this. So we are first going to follow our same thing. So I'm going to draw my barrier. Nothing is going to change that. Okay? Then I'm going to look and see, is there anything to distribute? No. Is there anything to combine? No. Is there anything to isolate? Yeah. So I want to get this h alone. What do these mean? Multiply. So if I want to get this alone, how do I undo this multiplication? I need to divide. So I'm going to divide by L times W on both sides. Those L's make a one pair, those W's make a one pair. I'm left with H on this side. Can you divide either of those? No. So like I said, our answer is going to not look exactly like we are used to, but there is a method for me doing that. Alrighty, now for 2. Is there anything to distribute? Is there anything to combine? I can isolate, so I want to get this t alone. Well, it's in the bottom, which means I need to multiply. So I'm going to multiply by t on both sides. These make a one pair, leaving me with d equals r times t. Well, is t alone? Not yet. So this is what I want to get alone. What's standing in my way of that being alone? The r. How do I undo that multiplication? Divide. So I'm going to divide by r. That makes a one pair. And t equals d over r. Okay? Now, I have my barrier. Nothing to distribute. Nothing to combine. So I'm going to work for my isolate. I'm going to work for my opposite. So C is what I want to get alone. So these two things are staring in my way. I can't do anything about them. I can't put them together. So I'm going to subtract A on both sides. So P minus A. These A's make a zero pair, and I have B plus C. I want to get C alone, so I need to subtract B on both sides. That makes a one pair. Notice how I have not combined any of these. That is what I want. They are not combinable. They are not in the same tree. So my answer is C equals P minus A minus B. Okay? What about for this one? Draw my barrier. Is there anything to distribute? Is there anything to combine? I do want to isolate. This is a minus n. N as a ninja. This is a positive M as in mighty. So I'm going to do the opposite and subtract m from both sides. That cancels out. I bring down my negative n, and that equals t minus n. I'm going to divide that by a negative, and that actually, believe it or not, makes this a negative t and a positive m. Because this is positive t divided by a negative, which is a negative, and a negative m divided by a negative, which makes a positive. Okay? So now looking at the last one. Draw my barrier. I'm going to circle what I want to get alone. So I'm going to subtract by from both sides. That makes a zero pair. Ax equals c minus by. I want to get this x alone. So I'm going to divide by a. That makes a 1 pair. And x equals c minus by all over a. Notice how in here it ended up still being 2 terms. That was because we were literally dividing by a negative, whereas here I am dividing by a letter, so it's going to be this whole thing. Okay? So that is my final answer.